Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of The Current Temp. And I have to tell you, we've been doing a number of shows. We have really been enjoying ourselves. We've had great guests. We've had some great topics. And this week, we're going to do something a little different. All right, you ready for this? Before I get to that, let me say welcome and a thank you to our sponsor, Lexus of Memphis. I know that you guys know what a great product that is. If you've even driven in one, you've probably said, I wish I had a car like this. And I'll tell you this, if you ever have any problems, which you have very few of with a Lexus, there's no better service team in the city that I've seen. They're phenomenal. All right, let me welcome my guest. You've seen him before. He's been a co-host with me for years now on the radio and right here. My friend, Bill Gurner of FCG Investment Company. And Bill, what are we doing different today?
I'm going to get to interview you, and I appreciate you giving me that opportunity. And you have to answer every question.
Okay, so we're turning the tables. We have not done this before. Bill is your host. Let's go for it.
All right, let's start off with what you do, Joey. Can you give us a 2-minute forecast of the weather?
Okay, yeah, I can. All right. Which camera you want me to be in? Producer Lisa Solopek. You want me to be in the main one, the tight one? This one here?
You're on your one shot.
Okay, I'll give you. Okay, here we go. That's our producer, the lovely Mrs. Solopek. We seem to be in a bit of a drought right now in the Mid-South, and super hot, but relatively dry. So here in the Memphis area, we've seen temps in the 90s here as we're getting to the end of September, going into October. That usually means not a colorful fall because you have to have rainfall going into fall to get those leaves to pop. So we are uncharacteristically warm, too warm, little dry, not too much humidity, low rain chances, which we need. And I'm thinking we're probably going to have a milder winter. It seems to be the overall trend. You are now weather-wise. How's that?
All right, Joey, I'm going to throw you some softball questions to start, but then it's going to get a little tougher.
Okay.
Other than the Bible, what's your favorite book?
Whew. So I read everything. I mean, I read all over the place. I've got some book series I really have enjoyed. I have enjoyed the Game of Thrones book series, but I really love reading books that are complementary to the Bible. So, okay, here's one that I really enjoyed was Why I Believe. Another one was Why I Should Believe the Bible. I love things that build up the truth of the Bible, but then I also enjoy, as a kid, I read Louis L'Amour. I'm all over the place. I love everything.
Okay. Great, concise answer, Joey. What's your, this is real easy. Your wife's an artist, but what's your favorite color?
Her eyes.
Oh,
Her
here
eyes,
we go.
Green. Yeah.
And I know she's a great cook. What's your favorite food?
Steak. She made steak last night. It was a nice treat. She's a phenomenal cook. She's a chef. I love steak.
That's why you're smiling. You're so happy.
I'm so happy. I'm full.
Okay. What's your least favorite household chore?
Ooh. I was going to say paying the bills, but that's not really a household chore. Cleaning the shower. I'm in charge of the bathroom and the shower, and having to clean that shower is a labor of love. That's my least favorite.
I just went in there. You got to do a better job.
It's terrible. No, we keep a clean shower. I'm a little OCD, and so I get really out of sorts whenever there's any dirt anywhere. So trying to keep a shower clean, especially when we had 3 kids in the house, having to teach them how to keep a shower clean, that's my least favorite. All
right. You're a native Memphian. Where's the most impactful change you have seen in your lifetime so far?
That's a good question. I'll give you a positive one that has always impressed me about Memphis, and that's this, as far as impact goes. I've been so encouraged at the way our local sports bring everybody together. Memphis is a city with a long history, some good, some bad. But when it comes to our sports teams, our college teams, our professional teams, I'm a big Memphis Tiger fan, the Grizzlies as well. You see people of all walks of life come together, and everything else seems to go away because you all are supporting something combined. And I've always appreciated that about Memphis. I think it's impactful.
Okay. All right, Joey. If you could teach me something about the weather and finance in 5 minutes, and I know I've got a lot of mileage on me, what would that be?
Well, that's a good one, and I'll try to keep it faster, too, so that I don't drag it out. the relationship between weather and finance is actually pretty incredible because both of them have so much fluidity. There's so many moving parts to the atmosphere. Every layer is different every moment, and the economy is the same way. We watch the economy every day in the stock market, where the old joke with weather is a butterfly can flap its wings in Brazil and we get a hurricane. Well, we see the same thing in the economy. You can see a small event over here will ripple out and affect us in the U.S. in big ways. And so to me, the correlation is being able to have a 30,000-foot bird's eye view of what's going on, whether it's the atmosphere or the economy. You're looking at all these different features and being surrounded by a good team. We've got a good team at FCG Investment Company, people that can focus on specific things, come together as a team and get your forecast together. So I would say it's what's critical about both, Bill, is to not be too myopic or too focused that you can't see the big picture. And I've seen you do this many times, it's maybe more art than it is science. Having a feel for what data you're looking at and knowing how to put it together or to get a vision. You can't just go strictly by the numbers. You've got to have a sense of what you're looking at to put those pieces together.
Okay. All right, Joey. Sometimes if you stop someone and you ask them for directions how to get somewhere, sometimes you get the answer. They say you can't get there from here.
Right.
Have you ever heard that?
I've heard that before, yeah.
Okay, so maybe some of the people don't know. How'd you get in from weather to finance, and how did that come about?
Well, you know me and my stance on faith. I believe that God directs our path, but honestly, you played a major role in that. You had such a long career in finance, and you have been around my life for a long time now. You introduced me to that world 25 plus years ago and have been quite a mentor and really opened my eyes to the possibilities. I did not know I would enjoy working in investments as much as I did until you brought me on board your first company, and that has been life-changing for me. And so I don't know how many people know that you were such an impact on me and still are, but that's how those worlds collided. And to be very honest, finding out how the two things really overlap. And as you and I have talked about before, communication is a big part of portfolio management, being able to talk to a client, know who they are, and meet their goals. And that's something that goes, that's a part of being a journalist, which I was, for many years, and a weather journalist. So you were actually a part of my path and still are. And I love where God has taken this.
Well, that's asking for why did I do it? Well, I know Joey can't toot his own horn, but let me toot it a minute.
Some horn tooting.
I didn't mean it like that. Don't laugh. Joey's Mensa. He's very smart, and he has a gift for finance and a love for the weather. So that makes me wonder. You do these podcasts, and the weathermen we have are okay. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but it looks like it's an opportunity for you with your love of weather to do a podcast once or twice a week and update people on the weather. It doesn't have to be long. I know it's time consuming, and I know that you're busy at work, but is that a possibility or not, or have you thought about it?
That is a possibility. What does my wife think about that? We'll see what she thinks. I love the way you put that. I love being a part of finance. It's what I do, and I love that we are able to serve people. But weather will always be in my blood, and I'm blessed to have an audience that wants to hear that information. And so I think, and you have been a bit of a catalyst in things like that. It's something we're trying to figure out right now how to bring weather to people, maybe from here, from the Solopec studio, in addition to the current temp, where we talk about weather and forecasting. I think there is something there. I don't know that God has shown me exactly the route, but I think you're onto something, that there's a possibility.
Okay, I don't mean this bad. It's just kind of funny. But Joey, if other weathermen came to you and said, "I'd like to do finance," I know they're not as smart as you, but that's okay. How would you direct them? What would you be looking for in order to hire them, or just anyone in TV?
I think if talking about finance, you want to know what someone's gifts are and their aptitude. What are their gifts and what are they good at? And maybe just as important, and you tell me what you think about this too. I'd like to get your answer to this.
I will.
I think character is important. You know, do you have a character of curiosity? Do you have a character of wanting to work hard that gets after it? Do you have a character where you care about other people and you want to serve them? Because in the roles I know that we have in investments, we're fiduciaries, which means we're supposed to put the client's needs ahead of our own. You know, or are you just in it for money? Or, you know, what is driving you? To me, that would be critical to telling somebody, okay, this is a good field for you. It's more about their aptitude for sure. What are their gifts and talents? But what is their character? Do they have integrity? You know, or do they want better for other people?
Right. I think what I don't go that. I mean, that's all good. But one thing, when I spoke to you about finance years ago, your eyes are your windows, and when you look in the windows, is it sinking in? Is that what they really want to do, or are they glazed over? Can they do that type work? So I like looking straight in the eye. I like, if I see them really looking at me hard and wanting to do this, I can sense that. I can tell that, and that gets my attention. So it's not a scientific approach. We talked about a gut feel and the numbers. Mine's more of a gut feel, but I like looking at someone. I like asking the questions, and I like looking them straight in the eye. If I see those windows open up, then it's a go for me.
Okay. Well, I love that answer. That's good.
Okay, let's get TV a little bit here. You've worked in TV at different stations doing different things. And every business or every office has a culture. Can you explain, or is there a difference in the structure of a TV station and of finance where you are? Are those cultures different? Can you explain how they're different?
Yes. My schedule's a lot better in finance. You know, having to sleep on the floor in Studio B gets really old, covering storms all night, or having to leave your daughter's birthday party to come home for a storm. That's very trying on a person after 25 years. And so those industries are polar opposites.
Okay, let me dig this hole a little bit deeper here.
Okay.
I read on Saturday Night Live where one of the people on there said that place was totally toxic. Now, in a local TV station here, I presume they're owned by another larger corporation elsewhere where they have the HR department. Mm-hmm. When you do not have the HR department here and there's conflict between two people and they don't like the way things are going, is that good or bad, or how do you settle that? I'm just curious.
That's a great question.
How that works.
That's a great question, and a lot of people may not know this. It's a terrible situation, and I'll tell you what I saw evolve in TV news in particular, and we'll see if that is really what happened with everybody in other industries. As stations were bought and sold, there's constant buying and selling of TV stations by the parent groups, constantly. I think I had 3 or 4 different corporate owners in 18 years, maybe 5. And every time that happens, you get new HR, new insurance, new retirement. It's just a mess. One of the things I saw happen, and this is when we were owned by the Fox network, which is also a rarity. Most TV stations aren't owned by the network, but for my first 10 plus years, I was owned by the 20th Century Fox. Even as big as they are, to save money, they took our HR department, the woman who I know and really liked and was from Memphis, and moved her to Houston, where she was HR for a number of stations out of Houston, so she wasn't in the building. And I learned that became the MO. No matter which ownership group came to us, the next ownership group was in Atlanta, nobody locally. And so a lot of people don't know this. TV is one of the most litigious industries there are. And over 25 years of being in that industry and working for 3 of the 4 channels in one town, I saw it everywhere. Everybody wanted to sue everybody. Everybody wanted to sue the management. So put those two things together. You've got HR leaving the building, so they don't have personal relationships and know the lay of the land. And you've got an industry where everybody likes to sue management. That's a common thing. So it was a terrible setup, and I could go into details that would blow your mind about how bad it got when you have an industry like television news where people, especially if you're on air, very outspoken, they're usually very aggressive, very driven, very opinionated. You don't have an HR department in-house. Let's say if you work in Memphis, HR's in Atlanta. They may fly in every time there's a problem, which it could be 6 weeks or 6 months or a year. They don't know the people, and so it's just kind of a bad recipe. And that has been the trend. And you would think things would improve. I don't think so. I think you're going to see that more and more where it's fragmented, and it's the cost of money. They don't want to pay to put an HR person in every station, so they put the main HR person in Atlanta and say, now you cover 15 different cities. It's a bad setup.
Yeah, Joey, I want to go back a little bit. You said that, the hours are better, maybe, and the things are better, but I don't agree with that. You work constantly. Sunday, I think you spoke at 2 different churches.
That's true.
And people ask you to speak all the time, and you very seldom turn anybody down. And your singing's gotten better with that rap video. I just want you to know that. I was very impressed with that. But I think it's a different type work. But you work long hours and you do a good job. So
let me agree with you and correct what I said earlier. Before, it was a pain to have to come in and cover every shift and work on the weekends. But you're right. When you work in the investment world, you're working 24 hours a day for families that have illness or if someone passes away. And I know that we have gone and helped move people out of their homes, move them into retirement homes, check in on them. But you know what? It feels different because you're invested in those clients. So I guess maybe that's why I answered the way I do. Or when I go speak, and I, like you said, I spoke at 2 different churches on a Sunday. It took all day, and it was tiring, but it was so enjoyable being able to connect with people that way. Maybe it feels different to have that connection.
Well, just take a minute and let's hear about, I know you judged Elvis Presley impersonators. Can you tell us how that was, the contest they had a few weeks ago?
Yeah, it was phenomenal. So for those of you who aren't aware, there is a thriving world called Elvis Tribute Artists, ETAs. And I have been associated with Graceland and that group for 20 plus years. And I just see it getting stronger every year with younger, more talented singers coming in to perform Elvis's music. And these are men who are talented musicians who do shows in Branson, who do shows at legacy parks on the East Coast. They just love the music and they love to perform Elvis's songs. And I was a judge this year. It was another unbelievable year where they were all top tier. We're talking about the real deal Las Vegas performances. I've been blessed to be a part of that situation for many years, and I don't think a lot of people in Memphis know about it, but it's fascinating to watch.
Can we count on you doing another video?
Another rap video?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think people know this, but there was one Elvis contest, and you take just a minute. We're about to wrap this up, but you had some downtime and you had to sing. Can you tell about that story real quick?
Okay. So, yes. So I hosted this ETA contest for many years, and it was really a big production. We held it, some years it was at the Orpheum in downtown Memphis. Some years it was at the Cannon Center on their main stage. Some years it was at the new Sound House at Graceland. One year it was at the Orpheum, at Packed House. And if you've been in the beautiful Orpheum Theater in Memphis, in about halfway through the performance, the fire alarm went off. Well, we've never had that happen. And so you've got a live band on stage. You've got a lot of money and time and energy spent in this production, and they're being judged. They're in the middle of a contest, and the fire alarm goes off. Well, a lot of things happened at once. First, we had to go, is there really a fire? Do we need to get all these people out of the Orpheum? And we realized it was a false alarm. But the lights were going off, and the alarm was blinking. So the band stopped, the singer stopped, and they're standing there looking at me with the microphone like, what are we going to do? We got to handle this situation and keep the show going because, people had paid to come see this show. So until the fire department got there and turned off the lights and we had to figure out how to fill time. Well, unbeknownst to everybody, I don't know why I did it. I had decided that year to print out the lyrics to a song, If I Can Dream, from Elvis, and I had hid them under the drummer's riser. So the drummer is on a little stage, and nobody knew it. I had picked up the little skirt on the stage and stuck those notes under there. So they're looking at me with the alarm going off, and they go, what are we going to do? the alarm's going off, and I said, just follow me. And they were really scared. They were terrified of what I was going to do. So I walked out there and I waved at the guy with the spotlight in the back of the Orpheum. I reached under and got my papers, and I could see the band. They didn't know what to do. And I said to the drummer who led the band, I go, if I can dream, just follow me. And he was like, okay. You know, he goes, puts his sticks together. And I start singing while the alarm's going off. And I expected it to be a train wreck. However, because there was so much chaos, I think people were just looking for a direction to go in with this show. The crowd got behind it. And as I got to the very end of the song, the alarm went off. And the fire department had turned it off. And so as we finished it, the alarm went off. I looked around. They were like, okay, keep going. And I said, all right, now on with the show. It turned out being a fun event.
Listen, folks, he went from Elvis to rap, so that's all I can tell you.
Let me say, if you're not familiar with what he's talking about, a local Memphis rapper named KL Undeniable reached out to me 6 months ago and asked me if I would be on a song of his. I know very little about rap, but I went and met this gentleman. He's extremely talented. He wrote a song called Moving Forward, which is extremely positive. And against my own senses, I performed this with him. We recorded it, and it turned out great. I know it's on Amazon Music, Moving Forward by KL Undeniable. There's a video, too. And so if you haven't seen it or heard of it, the guy did a great job. It's a positive message, you know, and I was big on that song being clean and positive, and it is. So that's what happened there.
One other question. Can we bring up your Elvis song on the internet?
You can. You can, yeah. If you
I'm going to do that tonight.
If you go to YouTube and put in my name and Elvis song, I think they actually recorded it. It's on there.
Okay, I got one more question. We'll wrap this. You know, we are believers, Joey. Can you just give us a little bit what the Bible says about money that sticks out to you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, I believe as a Christian that God from you know, Adam and Eve, he designed man to work and to be a good steward. And so I know money is mentioned many times in the Bible. I know you've been through many of those classes. You've taught it. You've studied it, as many of us at the company have. Being a good steward, I think, is critical. And not just in money, but of our planet and what we're God gives us things. And just like the parable of the talents, which I know you've spoken about many times, you know, what are we going to do with those gifts? Are we going to take them and use them and be responsible, or are we going to squander them and put them in a hole? Right. We're not called to do that. We're called to be responsible and use things that God gave us, like funds or a good job or savings or whatever it is. And so to me, that's critical when you believe in something. You know, like my wife worked at St. Jude for a while when we first got married. That had a lot of meaning for her, being around those kids and what that work did. And it doesn't mean every job's going to be magical for somebody, but no matter where you are, you can be a good steward. And it's critical to me, and I know you as well, that we try to live out those beliefs when we're helping others and when we're investing. I think it's critical.
Okay, let me say one more thing, and I'll let you close this out. But when I look at Joey and I look at his eyes, I see the gift of investing and I see the love of weather, and there's nothing wrong with both of those.
That's very, listen, I've never heard you put it together like that until this show, and I love that. I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate you doing this. This was interesting and fun having you run the show, okay? Listen, I got Bill Gurner here with us, constant source and contributor and presence here on the Current Temp as well as on radio. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Joey.
Bill,
love you, man.
You did a great job. Love you too. And folks, thank you for listening. Thank you to Lexus of Memphis for being a sponsor with us. If you've got an idea, maybe it's me asking Bill some questions. Who knows? You tell me. You can email us, thecurrenttemp@gmail.com. You can watch this, of course, on my Facebook page. You can subscribe on YouTube, The Current Temp. We'd love for you to be a subscriber. That way you can just set up and they'll instantly go to your little inbox there whenever you can listen to them, or you can listen to it on Spotify as well. Friends, I've had a great time with these questions. Bill did a great job. Thank you guys for being here with us today.